Well, disappointment and disgust. That's how former patients of a teen psychiatric center are reacting to the news that Sequel Pomegranate has resumed treating children.
Now, the state effectively shut down that facility back in December, citing a reoccurring pattern of problems that 10 investigates as repeatedly exposed that left both staff and kids hurt. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Bennett Haverly with the explanation from the state on how the center is again treating vulnerable children.
The signage on the front window has been removed, but for some, the memories of what happened behind these walls are hard to shake.
This whole situation is gut-wrenching.
I had threats of restraints. I was left in the seclusion room for overnight. It was maybe like 18 hours in the seclusion room without food, without a bed.
These former patients of Sequel Pomegranate, a teen psychiatric and behavioral treatment center, say they were alarmed to learn the facility has resumed treating children after the state effectively shut the facility down in December.
Can y'all wait in the lobby real quick while I run and check it out?
Certainly.
That decision was driven by what the state called a recurring pattern of incidents.
The suspect headbutted her and then punched her in the face once.
I thought you got hit in the face.
That was me.
Including police runs for fights that left staff hurt and documented complaints from children who alleged they too were harmed, either through improper restraints or abuse. But even after Sequel Pomegranate relinquished its residential behavioral license in December, it held on to the license for its acute hospital, even though the state had previously threatened to revoke it as well. This business filing from the Secretary of State's office shows the facility now uses a new name, Torrey Behavioral Health, and resumed treating a handful of children earlier this year. This week, we showed up unannounced and spoke briefly to the facility's CEO.
So it's still, you guys are still owned and operated by Sequel Youth and Family Services, but you're doing business as Torrey Behavioral Health.
Exactly. It's still Sequel Pomegranate.
Right.
The new CEO told me he couldn't answer questions and referred me to the parent company, Sequel Youth and Family Services, which has experienced problems with its other facilities across the country, including a now closed center in Michigan where a 16-year-old boy died last year after being restrained by staff.
I worry this will bury the large body of evidence we have that shows Sequel Pomegranate failed youth in its care.
It's extremely disappointing to hear, but it's not necessarily surprising to hear.
We took their concerns to Lori Chris, the head of the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, which licenses Sequel Pomegranate.
But it doesn't appear as though you guys are holding them to account. I mean, you've allowed them to continue to operate when they've been incident after incident that you guys said was unacceptable. So how can you say you guys are doing your job?
Yeah, no, we are. We are holding Sequel Pomegranate to account. The same corporation's operating it.
Chris explained the facility may have the same parent company, but they are still under state monitoring and have incrementally increased the number of patients they treat.
You guys saw a repeated pattern of concerns. You suspended the operations, and now here they are operating again. I mean, what would you guys say to past patients who are sickened by that?
We understand their concerns, we listen to, hear their concerns, and we're monitoring to ensure that there are protocol in place, procedures are being followed so that those things don't happen again.
But past residents we spoke to worried this name change will make it more difficult for parents of new patients or placement agencies to be aware of the incidents from the past.
My fear right now is that this could allow Sequel to save face and sidestep legitimate public concern over their abuses. It's frankly misleading.
Bennett Haverly, 10 Investigates.
Sequel Youth and Family Services sent us a statement that did not answer or address our questions about if the facility was changing its name to move away from its troubled past. That statement did read, in part, quote, "The name change reflects the meaning of Torrey, representing a gateway marking the transition from the mundane to the sacred. Patients are encouraged to enter for treatment and continue down the road with us to a restorative place of health, strength, and a feeling of well-being." 10 Investigates also requested an interview with the new CEO, but we have not yet heard back just yet.